This is a test. This is a test. Can you hear me? Can you hear us? Today on Kingdom Speak, we're here to test your ears. Welcome to Kingdom Speak with Pastor Daniel McKillop. That's better. Practicing.
I heard that.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So are your ears working?
If we keep this up for a few minutes, they'll have the volume cranked right up.
Reach over and turn up the volume in your car.
And then we'll blow you up.
Yeah. Welcome to Kingdom Speak, everyone. We're back. And this time we have premium content. We've stepped to a new level.
Yeah, we've been messing around. But
I don't know if you can, maybe you can just pull me in here, producer.
I got you. I got you. Look at that, Mike.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. I can't hear you.
Premium Kingdom Speak merchandise on the podcast today.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you get yours today.
Selling them for 2 Bitcoins a piece.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, we got to get that building fund ramped up.
Exactly. Yeah.
How about a review to kick off?
Speaking of Bitcoin, how about we give this little review from Still Seeking. Keep mining. Keep mining. If it took COVID to birth this podcast, thanks be to God for it. Every one of these have dug something out of this old girl's soul. Best podcast ever. Pray they will continue till Jesus comes.
Amen. Amen. We'll give that an amen.
Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get a hallelujah? Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Well, I just checked. I don't believe the rapture has happened, so that means we have to
One more at least.
continue.
One more. If it just goes dead halfway through and you can't hear us anymore.
Yeah. Bunch of reprobates.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're still trying to figure out what's going on.
Keep listening. We're gone.
We're gone.
Kingdom Speak on repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to talk about ears today?
I do.
I can't even see my ears. I can see yours, though.
They're pretty big.
Yeah.
Why are my ears important, Pastor?
Because they help you walk right.
What are my feet for?
I just read something from, I think, Carlton Kuhn tweeted this. Word for the wise, if God meant for us to touch our toes, he would have put them further up on our body. Yeah.
As you get older, your arms get shorter.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we want to talk about the correlation between hearing and walking. Yeah. This is a walk by faith.
Yeah.
It's a walk by faith. You know, if you were to ask somebody, and you're the medical professional on this podcast, so we really should just turn this part of it to you.
Yes.
What's the most important part of your anatomy when it comes to maintaining balance when you're walking?
So equilibrium comes from your inner ear, which is how you maintain balance.
Right. Which really kind of flies in the face of what a surface response would be. Well, my eyes are probably the most important aspect. And I say this carefully because we may have people listening that are visually impaired, but we see people that they know how to walk. You see them going with their stick, they're tapping along, and they still have balance.
Yeah. Yep. They're upright for sure.
And they still have mobility. So the fact that they can't see does not impair the fact that they still can walk.
That's right. And you know what? When you get to the corner, it's the audio signal that you hear.
Oh, yeah.
It's that chirp.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but I know that there's one chirp for walking and one chirp for it switches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And although this is not the primary point of what we're talking about, when you have one sense that is impaired, the other one's kind of, heightened. So they hear what is going on around them, and they process that. Is it safe to continue? Should I stop? The blind man sitting on the side of the road heard Jesus was coming.
Oh, straight into the Bible we jump.
Yes, he heard. Said, what's this that I'm hearing? There's a crowd coming. So, as a quick reminder at the offset of what we're going to talk about, this is a walk by faith, not a walk by sight. Not a walk by sight. So,
man, if you're looking out the window in 2020, you're going to see some pretty crazy stuff.
Woo. If we've ever needed to be able to hear our way through this,
Oh, man.
and maintain our balance, and we say that because this is our day, but really there was never a day when it wasn't geared for hearing contributing to the maintaining of balance and equilibrium in your walk with God. Hearing is required.
Yeah, that you can hear the train way before you can see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So Abraham, as a man that walked by faith, he was pursuing something that he couldn't see,
Right, yeah.
but he was really chasing something that he'd heard. So I'm looking for, I'm walking today, and I tore down my tent, and I'm going to walk, and I'm going to set it up tonight. And this is my objective. I'm looking for a city who hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Right?
I haven't seen it yet.
So if you've never seen it, you don't know where it is, why are you mobile? That denies human logic. Human logic would say, stop. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you that if you're lost in the woods, stop walking
Yeah.
until you, right?
Yeah, shut the feet down.
Right. Don't just wander. But in this walk with God, because we're driven by that inner ear, that he that hath an ear to hear, let him hear. That faith cometh by hearing. Abraham was pursuant of something that he never saw, but that his ears guided him to.
Yeah, it's like the Bible talks about strengthening the inner man. We're talking about that inner ear. Right?
Absolutely.
You got to have those inner senses hyped up.
We've had a couple ladies in our church over recent years, and God has healed them. But there was nothing wrong with their eyes. But they had that vertigo where there was that inner ear imbalance. They had ears.
Yeah. Even an inner ear infection will do that.
Right.
Throw you right off.
So here we go again. It's when you looked at them, you didn't know they had a hearing problem. They had all of the outward appearances of being able to walk right, but there was an inner problem. So an inner ear problem, when the spiritual man begins to lose his equilibrium and is rocking back and forth, he doesn't just need a set of ears. He that hath ears, let him hear. Okay? It is prophesied that there will be a famine of hearing, not a famine of people not having ears, not a famine of the word not being present. The famine is of hearing, of people being able to register on an inner ear level, thus saith the word of the Lord.
Man, and so many people can sit and hear and not even hear the same thing.
The last thing that we need right now, and man, I pray about this. I pray about it for myself. I pray about it as I'm attempting to lead our church. I don't want to be out of balance.
Right.
I don't want to be out of balance.
Because then you start speaking crazy stuff.
With everything going on in 2020, and there's just a few days left in 2020 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've almost made it.
Yep.
But man, it's been goofy. And if you're continually readjusting your gait,
Mm-hmm.
your pace,
Mm-hmm.
if you're continually readjusting that based on what you're seeing, then man, you're going to walk different Monday than you do Tuesday, and then you're going to walk different. But if we walk, I really believe, again, not trying to be desensitized to those that have visual impairments, but I really think the gait of your spiritual man needs to reflect more the visually impaired walk than he who is just strutting his stuff down the highway, totally secure in where he's placing his next step. We've got to have balance. We have to have balance. And that's also where vision comes from, right? Vision comes from the audible.
Right.
In the kingdom of God, vision is not something you see first, it's something you hear first.
Absolutely.
It cometh by hearing.
Yeah.
It cometh by hearing.
Acts 2 is a sound.
Yes.
Right.
Suddenly there came a sound. So it's when you hear it, when all of a sudden God births something in your spirit that you don't see, but man, you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear it, you start walking different.
Yeah. What happened to that guy?
Yeah. Man, he's back in the game.
Yeah.
So when all of the static that's going on around you begins to, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, but all of these other voices start chiming in, the child of God needs to understand today, while they're listening to this podcast right now, that just because you can't see it doesn't mean you can't walk it out.
That's right.
God can talk you through anything.
Yep.
He has literally, I can speak on the behalf of our church, and you can attest to this. And if producer Randy wants to use his mic, he can as well. God's talked us through 2020.
Yes.
You're right. One word after another.
One after another. We're not here because we've seen all this stuff coming.
And you didn't have the book before the year started,
No.
right?
No.
Yeah.
But as every page turned,
That's right.
there was another voice.
Yep.
There was another word. And so 2020 has not been a failure for us because God has talked us through it.
Mm-hmm. Where are we going to go in the Bible? Let's go in the Bible.
Well, can I say this first?
Sure.
Hearing problems reveal themselves in one of two ways, at least.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it reveals itself in how you walk. It messes it up.
Right.
But it also reveals itself in messing up how you talk.
Yes. Yes. Your speech impediments. That's right.
The first thing that they're going to check
Mm-hmm.
in a child
Mm-hmm.
that is not articulating properly
Mm-hmm.
is they don't check his mouth per se. They want to know he's not hearing right because you begin to echo
Definitely.
what you're hearing.
Definitely.
That is the thing.
Well, another great analogy for that is you can have expert musicians, but if you fiddle with what they're hearing, you're going to hear a band go off the rails,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What you're
The greatest vocalist.
Oh,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I know, guys.
yeah, we're talking about
I know.
radio.
yeah,
But you
Yeah.
just tweak their in-ear monitors
yeah.
and wow, they will produce some terrible noises,
Yes, absolutely.
right?
So we have got to be vigilant in this day,
Mm-hmm.
defensive
Mm-hmm.
about our ears. We got to control the volume of what we're hearing. We have to.
Yep.
All of this matters. Just a plugged ear, just one. If you just reach up and plug your
Yeah.
ear like this, and someone speaks, you can misapply the direction that it's coming from.
Right.
Yep. Again,
All
yeah. Again, with the music stuff, you if you do what I'm doing right now and you play music at loud volumes with one in-ear monitor, it will destroy you, because when you're done and you pull the other one out, this ear has been subjected to such a high volume, then that just begins to...
For sure. Absolutely.
We're a product of our hearing,
Yes, we are.
right?
So it manifests in how we walk and how we talk.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing manifests itself in how we walk and how we talk. Now, I want to give us just some book on this. You mentioned you want some Bible.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 9:13.
And the Lord saith, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice,
Okay.
neither walked therein.
Oh, so they didn't obey my voice,
Neither walked.
and disobedience to the voice revealed itself.
In how they walked.
Okay. How did they walk?
But have walked after the imagination of their own
Okay.
heart.
All right.
But we're supposed to follow our heart.
Oh, yes. Trust your heart.
Yeah, do what feels right.
Trust, yes.
Follow your passion.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, famous last words,
Exactly.
right?
As you wander off.
He
Jeremiah 32,
32:21.
21.
All right. And hast brought forth thy people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and with wonders and with a strong hand and with a stretched out arm and with great terror, and hast given them this land which thou didst swear to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey.
So this is all prophetic. This is all promise. This is all vision.
Yep. And they came in and possessed it.
But
They obeyed not thy voice,
Hmm.
neither walked in thy law.
so there it is again. If you don't obey the voice, you won't walk right. You don't obey, you don't walk right. I'm just doing this to bridge
Yep.
these two concepts.
Yep.
How you hear affects how you walk. Okay?
Yeah.
Jeremiah 44:23.
Because ye have burned incense, and because ye have sinned against the Lord, and have not obeyed the voice of the Lord, nor walked in his law, nor in his statutes, nor in his testimonies, therefore evil has happened to you as at this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Undeniably.
Why is this happening to me? And Jeremiah just slaps it because you didn't obey. If you don't obey the voice, you won't walk right. Simple as that. Simple as that. Let's go back to the man that we first used with Abraham, and we look at him, and why does he shipwreck? Oh, because Lot's with him,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right?
coincidence?
Yeah, it's like, I told you don't take Lot. So the next level of revelation did not come as it pertained to the land that he was going to be going into until he obeyed the voice.
Here's one for you. What about David, who shows up with Uber Eats for his brethren, and they have been listening to a voice of a giant? David's like, well, you guys under these rocks, Don't you suppose it's because they just sat there too long and heard that voice?
Well, that's it.
And when David heard it, he's like, hang on a second.
Yeah. Let's tap back into that in a minute, because you've got to watch. You got to watch what voices you let
Who you
in,
listen to?
because it will affect you.
Some of them will
You are
drive
not good
Yes.
enough
Yeah.
to divorce your walking from your hearing. You're not. You
Well,
will.
And the voice drives you under the table. You're
Right.
just you're so freaked out. It's like,
Right. So, seeing how we use that terminology, divorcing your walk from the voice, I think we have an example of that in the children of Israel who are brought out of Egypt through the Red Sea, Mount Sinai, tabernacle plan, and bro, they just lose it. They won't cross the Jordan. They just won't go do it. And they start wandering. Now, Joshua 5 and 6, read it.
For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness,
Well, that's a long walk.
till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed,
Why?
because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord.
Okay. So what we see, Jeremiah says it 3 times, and we've just grabbed a few of these. Okay, the
Yeah,
book's full of them.
Yeah.
We just grabbed a few of these. Now Joshua is letting us know the reason we've wandered for 40 years is because you allowed there to be a disconnect between what you hear
What you do.
Yeah.
and how you walk.
Yeah.
If there's ever a divorce between what you hear from God and how you walk, then you just become a wanderer. You're no longer a possessor. You're just a wanderer. You're not in Egypt anymore, and thank God for it. But you never tap into to a land flowing with milk and honey. If you're going to get there, you've got to keep that connect between what I'm hearing from the voice of God and how I'm walking it out.
It's not just if my feet are moving, but am I walking where the voice is telling me to walk?
Right.
Right.
Right. Just because you're walking doesn't mean you're progressing.
Yeah, because 40 years. 40 years. It takes a long time to kill veterans, right? These guys were hardened dudes, right?
Yeah.
Men of war.
Men of war. Men of war.
Wow.
Here's another one. Look at this. Hebrews chapter 5.
Hebrews 5:9 says, and being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him, called of God and high priest after the order of Melchizedek, of whom we
Here's
have...
the bomb. We're gonna answer all the questions about Melchizedek in this episode today.
Oh,
If you've been
Listen up.
listening this far, this is it.
Oh, here it is.
Oh,
of
yeah,
whom
baby.
we have many things to say,
Of whom we have many things to say.
and hard to be uttered,
They're hard to be uttered.
seeing ye are dull of hearing.
So, just a minute. So, say that again. The reason that they're difficult to say is because the subject matter. It's old Mel that we're scared of talking about.
Not only that, no.
No. This is not why the writer of Hebrews, who's a controversial topic in its own right, but the writer of Hebrews is not saying, the reason I'm hesitant and tiptoeing around this is because I just didn't want to get into the controversial topic of Melchizedek. No. The reason that it's hard to utter and the reason that I'm having to be determined to get this out is because you're dull of hearing. Some things are hard to say
Yeah.
because your hearers are dull of hearing.
Ouch. Wow.
I really believe that the reason that Nathan could go in to David's throne room and tell the king, thou art the man. Those are tough words.
Yeah.
But David had a good set of ears.
Mm.
What gave Nathan the confidence that he needed to say the difficult things that he said is David's inner ear was right.
So much is dependent on the hearer, isn't it?
And that kept hey, David had his issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Sure
the
did.
fact that David had a good set of ears saved that guy.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. So let's talk about it. We've hinted at this a couple of times. The voices. The voices in this world. Guys, we have got to guard our ears. I don't think there's ever been a day when voices as diverse as they are as amplified as they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of voices.
So let me just pick one topic. To all our American friends.
This ain't in my notes, just so we're on the record. Yeah.
No, but as a Canadian, when we get on social media and get on the internet, there's so much talk about the U.S. election. And there is so many people talking about, I don't even know who these people are.
Okay, we're recording this on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could all be fixed by the time this goes out. But as of right now, yes.
Oh, it's all fixed already.
Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
there's so many people and so many news organizations and so many insider stories.
Well, and there's a lot of conflict that centers around voices.
Yeah.
Okay, opinion pieces that mainstream media is attempting to control the narrative,
Yeah.
right? And millions of people are hearing that voice. Millions of them. It is so easy to be heard today, and that's problematic.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got however many thousand downloads on this episode, not this episode, but this venue. Okay, that in 1st of April we weren't even doing it. There's people hearing our voice today. I don't take that lightly.
No.
That it's an incredible opportunity.
Yes.
But we're not the only people using this channel of audibly communicating and, dare we say, maybe even influencing.
Oh, absolutely.
Encouragement, whatever the objective is. Okay? So,
And you know, there's, sorry to interrupt, but there's some podcasts that I used to listen to that I don't listen to anymore.
why?
I can't stand them. When you
Okay,
get
but
done,
is
when you get done a podcast and you're like, oh, my brain, I don't feel good.
yeah,
I'm not going to put myself through that again.
yeah, true. So not everybody that's got a platform is worthy of speaking.
No.
And not everybody that's got a platform is for sure worthy of your ear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we have got to teach our children. We have got to teach our new converts. Well, you don't just go to YouTube for your doctrine. You don't just
Oh my word.
you don't just wander up and down the street and say, "Someone tell me what to do. Somebody speak to me. Help me plan my finances. Help me." No, watch the voices, because invariably the voice you're listening to will reveal itself in how you walk.
That's right.
So the children of Israel, when that divorce came between them hearing the voice of God and walking from Egypt to the promised land, they started hearing the voice of doubters, 10 spies that said they couldn't make it. And it revealed itself in a wanderer.
Exactly.
That's what they became.
Because of what they heard.
Right. So I can tell you who you're listening to by watching how you walk.
That is facts.
Right.
Straight up facts.
Right. Observe a man long enough and you'll tell who's speaking to him.
Man. You can't say it better.
Because invariably, Jeremiah says it, Abraham lived it out, the children of Israel, David, on and on it goes. Whoever has your ear. Whoever has your ear.
Messes you up, bro.
Not all preachers are worthy of being listened to.
Well, I guess you could say that.
No, I'm serious. I don't want my saints listening to some preaching. My
Why?
saints. I hate talking like that. God's saints that I lead.
You would recommend
Yes.
that
I would have an opinion.
that they curate the voices that they allow into their head.
Right. And before everybody gets their apostolic dander up, I'm talking just in general. You know what I'm saying? It's
Totally
there's
get it.
there's this old concept, and I don't know if you guys remember it or not. There used to be, bless God, I got an open pulpit. I don't.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. My pulpit's open if you're speaking the truth. So I have a guarded pulpit. I've got a controlled pulpit. I don't have an open pulpit.
Man, once somebody gets up there and says something,
Can't take it back.
Voices. Then you spend months trying to course correct the walk,
Yep.
right? Someone just gets up and randomly goes off on some tangent of what they feel. It's problematic. And so I have been in those counseling sessions where I feel like I'm competing with Dr. Reverend so-and-so's opinion of divorce and remarriage, or his opinion of how to handle finances, or his opinion of, and all of a sudden, I'm not the leading voice in that child of God's ear, and that's a problem. You gotta guard whose voice that you are listening to, Because here's the second thing it does. After it messes up how you walk, then you start talking different.
Oh, for sure.
You begin regurgitating,
Sure do.
if
Yeah.
you will. That might be a bit of a harsh word, but you start echoing
Yeah.
the voices that you're hearing because it affects how you think, how you walk, how you talk.
Yeah, this I think is probably the key of 2020. If you can figure this out, 2020 won't throw you off. And 2021 won't either. But I think my generation, that's where we're at because you can
For sure.
just there's so much producer
sure.
Randy is in my generation. You're a bit above there. You're
Let's not go there.
blazing a good trail.
I'm breaking it.
Let's not go there.
I lost you guys for a second.
The trail
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the trail is growing in between you and us, but we're
Turn your hearing aids off.
Take his mic.
But man,
Yeah.
what
See, give a man a mic and he thinks he has something to say.
Listen to
I'm about
me.
to eliminate that voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now's a good time to do a praise break. Come on, you got some praise break music?
I got him. It's on the way. We fired up the band. Have you subscribed to Kingdom Speak? This is the time that I would ask you to subscribe. Leave us
can
a
do it.
review. The reviews are rolling. They're awesome. So thank you for the reviews. And we're growing. So we're going to be doing a mug giveaway soon, by the way. So
Oh, yeah.
if you don't have a mug yet,
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. Now back to more premium Kingdom Speak content.
I love that premium.
Do you want to...
So you got you got to be careful of who you hear. Media, social media.
It's all there, bro.
You got to watch. You got to watch the voice of unsaved. Dare I say, even family members, backsliders. Doesn't mean you have to be ugly, but just because it's said doesn't mean it's true. You got to continually check the voice of every person that's speaking into you. You have to check it. Hey, just because they're educated doesn't mean they're qualified.
Oh, my word.
Okay, so man, watch your ear, protect it.
Do you want to, I agree. Do you want to flip the coin now? And what about the people that are spitting the stuff out? So do you ever, as a pastor, and I'm sure you do, but don't you hope that what you say is heard, right?
Oh. Okay, so this is the other side of the coin. It is imperative upon me as a communicator, and we all communicate at our own. We all have a sphere of influence. You've got one at your home. You've got one at that school over there. We all have a sphere of influence. It's incumbent upon us that we watch how we say it.
Man, it's so important.
So it's both sides. You got to hear it right, but man, you got to say it right.
Yeah.
Have you ever read or heard something, and when you hear it, you go,
Yeah.
whoa, I know the words by definition mean this, but there's something else going on here.
Well, yeah, you hear the anger or you hear the resentment.
Yeah, the spirit behind it.
Because two different people can say the same thing two different ways.
Oh yeah,
Right?
oh yeah.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, they wanted to know the truth, so I just told them. Okay.
Yeah. Or here's
Really?
a better one. Well, that's what they said.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
actually hearing what the person said. You're hearing it through a filter now.
You asked me, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Totally skipping over speaking the truth in love.
Yeah, we don't want to put that last part in.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we could get into some stuff right there, but I just don't think my boots are big enough for that right now. Okay?
Yeah.
You got to watch what you say. You got to preach it with love. You got to communicate it with love. And so,
And if done right, you can get away with saying a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Have you seen guys? I've seen guys who can do this, even in the professional world, where they can thread the needle on just the right amount of facts that if I tried to say it, I'd offend the person that they're talking to, but they can thread the needle with the facts but speak it in love, right? Mm-hmm. I think you exemplify that as a pastor, and there were people who would be the same way.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? It's a fine line of, you're not trying to sugarcoat anything, but yet you're not trying to sharpen it either.
You guys have heard me say before, but the Word of God is a two-edged sword. It doesn't need a third edge. It doesn't need my sharpness added to it to be effective in dividing asunder. So many times, and as a pastor, you've got, but not just as a pastor. I mean, I can speak critically of that because that's the whole venue of what we're talking about, Kingdom Speak. But man, you got to be careful in your own house. Watch how you say it.
Yep.
Watch how you speak to your wife.
You ever talk to somebody else's dog?
I've tried.
The moment you speak to it, it puts a tail between his legs and runs. You're like, oh, that dog has had some nasty things said to it.
What the dog saw.
Move, dog.
Yeah.
You were going there, aren't you, Randy? I tried to bait him into this and he won't say it. Someday you could ask us what that means.
Yeah. Yeah. So this opens up a whole part of discussion that centers around conflict resolution.
Yes.
I don't know what percentile of conflict comes from communication, but I'm going to say it's a mighty high percentage.
Oh, yeah, most of it is. Yep.
So you've got the classic husband and wife communicating on different frequencies from time to time. Okay? He said, she heard, vice versa.
Are you alleging that you don't understand everything your wife says to you?
I'm not alleging.
Did you hear
anything.
that?
I did hear that.
I'm not alleging anything. I'm admitting. Love you, babe.
I think he called it womanese.
Yeah. Manese and womanese.
Yeah.
We speak two different languages. Okay? What is said, maybe I can say it this way. What is said is not always what is heard.
Definitely.
So here is where a simple miscommunication, the snowball effect begins kicking in. And yes, we know what we're talking about when we talk about snowballs. The momentum begins to pick up because instead of going back to the person and saying, what did you say? You are now going and talking to somebody else about it. And did Pastor really say that when he was preaching? Did I hear that right? Instead of going back to the guy that said it. If you aren't sure what I said, then quit trying to figure out what I meant.
Yeah. That's totally it, bro.
So I personally believe that, okay, let's look at an example. Let's look at a biblical example. 1 Samuel chapter 24, and then I'll tell you what I think.
So David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. David also rose afterward and went out of the cave.
Here's the context of what you're saying. We're in caves.
Yeah.
David has stepped into a cave and wow, Saul is laying there sleeping. And one of his servants says, man, look what the gift that God just gave you.
Oh, he spiritualized it, right? Yes.
This is the Lord.
I love that scripture. This is God's opportunity.
Be careful of those kind of friends. Okay? So here it is, and David just hacks off a piece of the skirt.
Right.
Saul gets up not even realizing David's a little deeper in the cave.
Right.
Wanders out. Here we are.
So David comes out of the cave behind him and cries and says, my Lord, the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. And David said to Saul, wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, behold, David seeketh thy hurt.
To say that David and Saul were in a conflict is an underestimation.
Yeah.
Okay? They're chasing Saul is chasing David. He wants to kill David. And David, at this moment, his response to him is this: who are you listening to? Where are you hearing these men's words that are telling you, there's voices that are speaking to you that I'm out to kill you, Saul? Who are they? I'm not saying that. I just had an opportunity to kill you, and I let you go. So we're in conflict because you're entertaining voices that are telling you I'm saying stuff that I'm not even saying.
That's right.
If we would just, if we would learn, if men would learn, women, to speak directly to each other instead of entertaining the voices of division makers. I really believe, this is where I was going before we read the text, I really believe that any conflict, maybe not every conflict, but the majority of conflicts can be resolved by two people getting together and speaking carefully and hearing carefully.
For sure.
And if the right thing is said and it's heard the right way, there's not a conflict that can't be resolved. There may be the odd exception to that,
Not very many.
but not very many.
Not very many.
Not very many. Two people speaking carefully and listening carefully could resolve just about any conflict.
The problem is when we get into tribes. You ever read that book? It's a small little book. It's really good. Tribes.
Never read it.
Seth Godin.
Okay.
It's a great, great book. I mean, it's not a spiritual book, but it totally works for this. So you go into these mountain ranges where you have tribes of, people. They don't even know why they hate each other.
Yeah. Sure.
But when I see that flag over there,
Yep.
I'm shooting.
Yeah. That's right.
It's like,
Yeah.
why are we doing
Hatfields and McCoys.
Why are we doing this? Right? Can't you talk to me?
If you can't remember why there's a conflict, it might be a good indicator that you should try to resolve it. Just get over it. This is the oldest trick in the book.
Sure is. Sure is. Communication.
So Eve is not even made yet. Adam still has all of his ribs when God is speaking to him.
He's not a half rack at this point.
No, he's not. He's a full rack of ribs. God speaks to him and says, Adam, the whole thing is yours. You can eat every tree. But there's one tree that you can't eat of. Tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Pretty simple. And that's it.
One rule.
That's it.
You had one rule.
Yeah, that's right. Somewhere in between the verses, not transcribed in Holy Writ, Adam sits down with Eve after she has been created, and he lost his rib, and says, these are the perimeters of paradise. Don't eat that tree. So I'm going to take it a step farther. Don't touch the tree. We have Eve sitting there listening to this, and she's not even heard God speak. All she's heard is Adam. It's not just happenstance that the most subtle beast in the field approached her to begin undermining the authenticity, the interpretation of what God said as it relates to the boundaries and borders of paradise. He ain't going to pick the one that heard God.
Yeah, no, it's always the word of mouth.
Absolutely. Hath God said that you can't
Eat it.
eat it?
Neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
She's messed up on what she heard. Her ears are messed up. And the devil capitalizes on this. This is the oldest trick. You can be in the most intimate moment with God and have a man of God speaking to you, your pastor speaking the word of God to you. And invariably at some point in the future, you're going to have a hath God said moment. It is incumbent upon every child of God to protect their ears. And, okay, we have the first introduction here of a man putting a standard
Right.
in place. So I believe you have symbolically the garden representing the church,
Mm-hmm.
Adam representing leadership,
Mm-hmm.
Eve representing the child of God. The child of God often doesn't hear God speak. As often, let me say it this way, I'm not inferring that a child of God can't hear God speak, but most often they hear Adam speak.
Yeah.
Sarah didn't hear what God told Abraham. She heard Abraham say what God told Abraham.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay? The devil gets involved at that moment. Preaching is one of the most anointed preaching, apostolic preaching is one of the most powerful communication tools on the face of the planet, but it's one of the most highly contested because the devil wants to get involved in that and he wants to cause you to question, hath God said? So here you have Adam looking at this paradise and going, man, I for sure don't want us to mess this up. So if God said that we don't eat it, I'm going to go ahead and say if we don't touch it, if we don't touch it, we won't eat it.
That's right. Raise the bar.
Okay? Now, this is where I disagree with the fact that a standard set up the fall. No, it didn't. I believe the objective of every sincere, anointed leader, this is the objective behind every standard. It is to keep you from disobeying God.
Yes.
If you would have touched it, you wouldn't have disobeyed God.
Right.
Never confuse the standard that Adam puts in place with the ones that God puts in place. Disobeying Adam is not the same as disobeying God. But if you don't disobey Adam, you'll never disobey God. That's so good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? This is the underlying purpose behind this thing called standards.
Yeah. It's not an authority kick.
No, the church has got to stop running when the critics go, oh, you got standards. Yeah, we do. We do. It is man's sincere attempt at putting a fence around something God told us not to do.
That's it.
So when the psalmist said, I will set no evil thing before my eyes, what was he doing? He was making a covenant there. I'm not going to do it. So how come I don't have a television? How come I don't watch movies? How come? Why? Because I'm putting a standard there. I'm putting something between me and consuming what I shouldn't be consuming.
The key thing you said though is spiritual leaders.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because the authoritarian dudes who just want to make rules that prop themselves up, right?
Right. And they want the standard to be respected on the same level that the disobedience to God is. And they want to give it sin qualities. Okay, here's another one. And this is why I don't believe that the first man, Adam, misfired. Because watch what the last man, Adam, did. The Old Testament, God gave the legislation, if you will,
Yep.
to Moses. This 10 commandments. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
That's right.
That's the tree that you're not supposed to eat. But the last man, Adam, showed up and said, and if you look on a woman to lust after her, you have committed adultery in your heart already. Boom, there's the don't touch.
An entirely different thing.
Yeah.
There's the don't touch. If Adam shouldn't have put the don't touch on the tree, then Jesus Christ, as the last man, Adam, wouldn't have raised the bar. He continually, it's all about, this is the sin. So move the fence far enough back away from the sin that if you break the fence, you ultimately don't disobey God. That is the purpose behind it. That is why we put things in place.
It's the guard on the chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the whole live free, charismatic, I'm only going to not do the things that I'm not supposed to do. I'm only going to, that whole way is, man, when you step past that line, you've ticked God off already. It's too late, right? It's a whole lot better to go, nah, I just better not touch that tree at all. Let me just back away from that. And it's the oldest trick in the book to get the Eve in every one of us, to get lost in what part did God say, what part did Adam say, and we struggle.
You know, we talked about this off air. We talk about a lot of stuff off air because, as you know, we record about an hour a week. So the rest of our talking is off air. Yeah. Probably another whole episode to talk about standards and when they change.
Yeah.
So
because they do.
Don't you think they should?
Right. You wouldn't need to hear from God if everything stayed the same.
Yeah.
Now there's just for the record's sakes, because until we get that episode done, I don't want you to think that we think everything's fluid. God hasn't changed his mind on divorce, on that, or on adultery, or on murder, or okay. That's not what we're talking about. Those aren't standards. Those are absolutes. Those are absolutes. But from time to time, Adam needs to hear from God.
Yep.
About where the vulnerabilities are for the generation that he's called to.
Very interesting.
So that's a little plug for a
Stay
future.
tuned.
Yeah.
That could be a very controversial episode.
My sheep
Oh.
know my voice, and another they will not follow. You get that? Will not. Will not.
So if they follow,
Or you're just following like a dumb sheep. No, this is an expression of a solid will. All of the other voices are strangers to me. I'm tuned into one. That is exactly what Samuel was tuned into when he was sleeping and heard the voice. And he woke up, ran down the hall, pitter-patter, to Eli's room and said, did you call for me? And he said, no, pal, I didn't. Go back, man. I'm good. And it happens again. Finally, the old preacher woke up and said, you know what? God might be talking to you, Samuel. The next time you hear this voice, you just say back to him, speak, Lord, thy servant heareth.
yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
My ears are good.
Do you think it's a coincidence that God's voice to Samuel sounded like Eli?
I think not.
I think not. So it's not that I can't follow another voice, it's that I won't.
Yep.
It's a matter of the will. I know the voice I'm following. If we can keep our ears tuned right, we're going to march through some stuff.
That's right.
We're going to march through with the victory.
Yep.
We're going to march through. Elijah said, I hear the sound of an abundance of rain. What did it do? It revealed itself immediately in a change in how he walked and a change in his running. Said, I got to get in position. Why? Because my ears picked up on something. If the church is going to survive, we got to have our ears on. We got to hear right. David said, am I supposed to go up? And God said, when you hear the sound in the mulberry trees, stir thyself, and get ready. Man, I don't want to miss out on any victories that God has for me. I don't want to miss out on any cues that now's the time to move. Now's the time to walk. And so it's not just about what I see, it's about what I hear.